Caboloso TV Live here with Mr. Daryl Brooks, Trenton's Trenton's hardcore activist, over 25 years.
First person to run for United States Senate.
Okay. From Trenton?
3 times.
3 times, okay. What would you like to say to the Trenton community?
You know, I know that you get to the brothers and the sisters in the street, the Quishas, the Maliks in the world, and the brothers in the street, that your show goes to. And they listen. First, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on your show. I'm watching your show. It's like, I got to come on this show.
Right. Thank you.
And, I've been on NJN, all the other stuff, but this shows go right to the brothers and the sisters.
That's right.
And, what I really want to say is that it's serious out here. We have a lot of killing. We have a lot of shooting. A lot of brothers and sisters going to jail. We have the 50%, 60% dropout rate. But in our society, especially in Trenton, we have, you look at Philly, 328 murders last year. You look in Chicago, 500 murders. And I think it was in Trenton we had over 50, close to that, 50 murders. It doesn't have to be this way. I want to talk about specifically in the city of Trenton. City of Trenton is too small. We have churches on every corner. We have all the leaders. We've got Bonnie Watson Coleman, Shirley Turner, African, churches, politicians. And what I want to say is it's going to be very, it's going to be critical. And also, people, also I just want to say you can't be afraid. We're in 2013. And it may be controversial what I want to say, but a lot of our problems are dealt with, a lot of our problems are with our leaders, our political leaders, our religious leaders, and our community activist leaders, so-called. We have our leaders that really, they despise black people, black kids. If poor people, inner city people, they may love the middle class themselves where they can have fun and they party and drink with and have a good time. But when it comes down to our inner city kids, and not just kids, but people, if you're poor, if you're a certain class, they despise us. And, my hero was Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King fought for all people's rights, and especially the poor people. He talked about loving everybody. We all should be, coming together and get along. One of the famous quotes Dr. King talked about, he said that we're all caught up in this great inescapable network of mutuality tied in the single garment of destiny. And whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And that I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be unless I am what I ought to be. Then he quotes John Donne, the poet, that no man is an island, every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Then he goes on to say that no man isn't, that death, if I die, then you die. He goes on to say that we must all come together as one. And the problem is we're not all coming together as one.
Yes.
And Martin Luther King said, we gotta love everybody, as he was a Christian. Jesus said, love everybody. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And when you see this problem, when you see all of the violence going on, the crime rate, the kids dropping out of school, the young boys and girls that are going to prison in the city of Trenton. People say, oh my God, well, what we're going to have to do, we have to do something. And there is something we can do. We can come together as a people and really stop this violence and stop our young kids going to prison. But it's hard because of the leadership. And so I look to tell your young brothers and sisters that you have to be the leaders. You have to stand up and do what's right. Martin Luther King speech, everybody need to go to that speech. It's called But If Not. And he talks about us standing up as moral people, standing up and doing the right thing, not because it's okay to do it, you have to do it, because it's the right thing to do. And that's important. We have to continuously do the right thing. And that's what our problem with the political leaders, the religious leaders, and social activists. They're not doing the right thing. They're not having real programs for our young kids. You know, what's a program? Basketball, playing checkers. Let's take the kids to a movie. Let's have a dance, snap their fingers, and have a good time. If you notice, that's what goes on in our city. You know, you go to the Marriott, you go to all these other functions, they all partying and dancing, and that's what they're all about. A few months ago, last year, I had a nonviolent summit. Dr. King talked about nonviolence. So I brought Dr. Bernard Lafayette, friends, people he worked with, he teaches nonviolence around the world, to come to the city. And they came here at the Quaker House, and we had a nonviolent summit, and we were very well. But none of the community leaders showed up. None of the religious leaders showed up. Only political leader came was Kathy McBride. But the fact is that here's something that can really bring change, a nonviolence education, and it works. But if you have the religious leaders, don't show up, and everybody crying, well, what should we do? We have to do something. Well, it was a program that was here to talk about doing something, but they didn't show up. Mm-hmm. And you got to look at it, the leadership. I mean, we have to look at the leadership in our church, question the preachers. What are you exactly doing? And question, the political leaders. Mm-hmm. We have our leaders because these religious leaders, political leaders, because we look at them because they're popular. But what actually have they really done programs to really fix the problem that we have in our city? They haven't done a lot. But you still go to their churches. And I'm not saying you go to church, go to church because you love Jesus. But there's just come a time when you're going to have to question all of these leaders. And are they really leaders? And that's an important question to ask and look at yourself. So we have to come together as a young generation. Mm-hmm. The ones in their 40s and their 30s and 20s, and step up. We have to always do what's right, do the morally right thing. And sometimes, we party too much. We have our fun, doing all these different things. It has to, when does it stop? And, I see brothers and sisters on the street, they talking to me, and we talk to each other, and the drug selling and the shooting, and, sometimes it's over. You should,
Yes.
Go into religious studies, whatever you want to be, a Muslim or a Christian, whatever, go to college, focus on doing the right thing, because I'm telling you, the evil system is a corrupt system out there. The prison industrial complex, they want to see more young black males and young black women in prison. Mm-hmm. And if you go to prison, they're not trying to rehabilitate you. They just want you to go in there and, you feed the prison industrial system, you come out, you're not educated. They don't want you educated. And the fact is, if you have a problem, if you're an innocent person, you get stopped by the cops or something, you didn't do anything wrong, and you get beat by the cops, and you're in jail, you're an innocent man, who can you turn to? You can't turn to nobody. And everybody's afraid of the prison industrial complex. Mm-hmm. Everybody's afraid of the Democratic white power structure that's been controlling Trenton. And the same type of Democratic white power structure that controls Camden, Newark, Trenton, and all these urban areas where the same problem. Philadelphia, all these kids, they go into jail. They're 50 to 60% dropout rate. They've been controlled by Democrat power structure. And it's serious out here, and people need to wake up about our politicians. What exactly qualifies you to be our council person? What qualifies you to be our mayor? Just because you're a popular person, that does not qualify you to be our mayor or our city council. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, well, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player, but should he be running the government? Mm-hmm. Just because you're a famous entertainer or athlete in the city, or you're known for partying, having a good time, people know you, that does not qualify you to be the mayor or council person. So we have to really look at what's happening. I'm a Tea Party. People say, well, Daryl, what are you doing with the Tea Party? Well, the Tea Party talks about political corruption. The Tea Party talks about, all these different issues about what's happening in our country. And I like to say this. See, this